We got everybody in, Kara? Okay. Why don't we call this meeting to order? This is our April meeting. The Board of Trustees. There's two public hearings scheduled for tonight. All these meetings are being held based on Executive Order 202.101. Executive orders issued by the governor. Anytime we have a public hearing, we're also able to take comment up until about 4 o'clock the day before. And I do have a couple pieces that were sent to me that we'll read into the record as we get going here. The first public hearing deals with community choice aggregation. We want to receive public comment regarding the Village of Canton's resolution on community solar. And what I'll do is I received two emails. I'll just read them. They're very brief. I received an email from Ann Heidenreich. It says, "Dear Mayor Mike, I'm writing to support passage of enabling legislation for community choice aggregation. This will allow the village to explore options for all residents to obtain renewable energy. The transition to renewable energy is essential if we are to meet targets for greenhouse gas reductions and sustain life as we know it on this beautiful planet. Regards, Ann." The other email I received and comment for public comment was from Anna Summer. "Hi, Mayor Dalton. I wanted to offer the following written statement in support of tonight's agenda item to pass CCA enabling legislation. Renewable pricing is at an all-time low and is often lower priced than existing power sources. This represents an opportunity to both improve the environmental impact of our electricity consumption and to lower cost to customers. This enabling legislation will allow the village to explore whether a community choice aggregation model would allow village residents to reap these dual benefits without obligating the village to deploy this model if it is not the preferred pathway. For all those reasons, I ask the board to vote to enact this legislation. Thanks, Anna." That being said, is there any other comment concerning community choice aggregation and the resolution that is on the table for tonight?
Mike, I did have one question about the language in it, but I wonder if it's a question that Jerry needs to answer. So we'll talk, this is on the agenda, right?
Yeah.
I can just ask it right here. It's in the, at the top of the, well, the second page of the one I'm looking at. Item F, and it says the village hereby implements this community choice aggregation program pursuant to, and I'm confused about the language of implementing it. You know, I thought that this was enabling and authorizing. So I guess that's my question, and maybe we can just wait for Jerry to clarify that.
I think we should ask Jerry, but also Klaus is involved in this. And
yeah, I would agree with you, Carol, that I am under the understanding that it's just an enabling thing. It doesn't, lock us into implementation. It's just enabling, and we then look at all our options and gather all the information and proceed from there. That's
right. Exactly. So I'm confused about that language.
Yeah,
so we'll ask Jerry about that after.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I would expect that he would be joining us shortly.
Yeah.
I appreciate that people have sent their comments in to be read as well. That's great.
Don't often get comments for these public hearings, so
Exactly.
I appreciate that someone took the time to do that. Is there any other comment from the public about community choice aggregation? Okay. I take that as a no. How about if we move on to our next public comment? It was supposed to start at 6:30. We're pretty darn close here. Public comment is now open on the village budget for the fiscal year June 1, 2021. The notice of this public hearing also notified our community of what the mayor and each trustee would be paid, along with a review of the budget. For public information, our budget is contains a rate change of 1 cent per thousand. There'll be a decrease in the tax rate for the village. So we stayed pretty flat when it came to the tax rate. Is there any comment about the budget as it's been proposed? This is the preliminary budget for next year, which would begin on June 1st.
Mike, can I just interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
Can LG, the person that was just let in, LG L322DL, please identify themselves? Or change their name?
Darlene Fryatt.
What is that?
Darlene Fryatt.
Oh, Darlene. Okay, I will change your name. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it on here.
No problem. We'll get it changed. Thank you.
Again, is there any comment on the proposed, the preliminary budget for the village? I did not receive any written comments, so since we don't have anyone stepping up to say anything, I think we're good to move on. I'd like to thank Sally Noble for all the work she put into this. We spent a lot of time working through this with the department heads and the board members. So I think, that's, I think it's a fine budget, and I really appreciate the effort that's gone into it. Okay, if anybody joins us that has a comment about the budget as we move forward, we'll allow them to speak. So I think we'll call the regular meeting of the Village of Canton to order. I do have one change. We will add a public comment section right after committee reports. I know that there's some interest in some public comment here early, and I don't want to make people just wait until the very end of our meeting in order to comment. So the first order of business is to approve minutes of March 17th. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Carol, is there a second?
Second.
Klaus, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Okay, department head reports would be next. Before we begin, I would just like to welcome Tim Nolan to this meeting. Tim has just recently been appointed as our code enforcement official. And well, his report this month is based on last month's code compliance work. He will be prepared to report for what part of this month he's been the code officer. So there he is right there. So
Yep.
welcome aboard, Tim. Get a chance to see how this is all going to work, and you'll get a chance to answer any questions if anybody has some. So first of all, Linda, you're first on my list.
on yet?
Now you're on. Hey,
Okay, okay,
feeling okay?
okay. Just okay. Just okay. So, the report was out early this month because the town met on April 8th. So I don't have mine home here with me. So do any of you have any questions? And then I can add some comment. Okay, Carol's shaking her head no. So the good news was, since the building has opened, all the regular senior citizens have been in. They heard about the office and they feel very comfortable in it. I have Ancestry starting. I allow one person in at a time. And they're learning to search and use Ancestry, which is a big help for them. And they can come in once a week. And now 2 of them are going to go and subscribe to Ancestry. So that's really nice. But at least I can get them going. And then Rennis Biznet, who most of you know, who has been a volunteer with me for 4 years, is coming back. I was over to see her the other day, and it's very exciting for her and for the town and village, because she just loves her work. So I'm very excited about that. And most of you have not really known or met my assistant historian, Rachel Town. Well, she works 5 hours a week and is constantly updating the office. She's in over 900 folders, adding everything that is in the folders. But the surprise was, I think I put it on last month's report, about the orphan list that we have from 1868 to 1889. She has created an Excel spreadsheet and is halfway through. And it was a lot of work and it's amazing. I wish I could visibly show you that, but you can always come up to my office and see this list of orphans and where they were adopted, where they went. And yes, she has been with me for almost 5 years and she's local. Her aunt is was Barnell, it's Teresa Stone. So she is an asset like Karenis. So it's very busy in the office and enjoying my new surroundings. So thank you. Any questions?
There's not. Thank you, Linda.
Okay. Yep. Bye.
Next one was animal control. No dogs were seized. I will make a note, however, Jim Pfeiffer's in the hospital with, I believe, pneumonia. So he's out of service. He does have a replacement here to help out in his absence. So next is Lee, Director of Economic Development. Anything to add, Lee, or any questions for Lee?
I don't think I have much to add. I think it's pretty up to date. The only thing I would say is that I didn't put on there is that it does seem as though the CFA, which is the Consolidated Funding Application process, and the DRI, the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, are going to be happening this year. They're in the budget, and I was in a meeting today and got word from the regional council's director that they should be releasing the CFAs relatively soon. So I believe that it's something that we need to start thinking about as far as priorities for projects and things, so I can make sure I can manage the workload if there are applications that we need to do. And we've been talking a bit about the process for that as I'm supporting other department applications and committee applications as well. So I think during committee reports, you might hear a little bit more about the process. But other than that, things are moving along. Projects are progressing with the BOA waterfront revitalization plan for the Oswegatchie, and marketing for the Grass River Blueway Trail. We have the Main Street grant contract signed, and we're going to be moving along in that process. I had a webinar on that today. So we're going to be getting that going very soon. We have some stuff going on with the tree committee. We've got funding for a community forest management plan, which we'll be putting an RFP out for soon. And I believe you have a proclamation there for this evening that we will document for that DDC. I don't know what else. Talking a lot about, I had a call about, they're going to be doing, the St. Lawrence County Arts Council this year is going to be doing something called the North Country Arts Festival. It's going to be a countywide, month-long-ish celebration in September and October of all of the arts and events and things going on in the area. And I've had some discussions locally about doing a Music on Main series again, like was done last year. I think Brooke at Grass River Outfitters sort of spearheaded that, but we're formalizing it a little bit more and planning to do that again in the month of September. We talked a lot about the Remington Festival, which will be happening, I think it's October 2nd is the date, and St. Lawrence County Arts Council is now spearheading that effort, and that will be part of that North Country Arts Festival. And they're going to be doing studio tours and things like that they typically do, but they're going to be doing them all on different weekends throughout the month. So lots of exciting stuff going on right now. And as you know, I think also on the agenda later is the rescue funds. But also there are other opportunities coming through COVID related, one of them being the CDBG CARES Act, Community Development Block Grant CARES Act. We're planning a public hearing to get input on potential projects for that next week at the joint meeting. But there are things like that we kind of want to jump on and see how we can get some more assistance to the community. And there's lots of opportunities through that for business assistance, among many other things. So I think that's good.
Okay, any questions for Lee?
I have one question, Lee. All that fall stuff sounds really great. I was hoping that somebody would be here from the chamber maybe. We got a report or I guess you could call it a report from the chamber that had the Dairy Princess on listed that they were doing it in June and also that they were doing it in August. Have you heard anything about that, or do you know anything about where they are on Dairy Princess plans?
The last that I knew, it was sort of to be determined. They weren't sure that if in June they would be able to do the full parade and event in the park. So I know they talked about doing some sort of more modified, like sidewalk sales or something, event in June, and then maybe being able to do a bigger event later, hoping that things would be more open. So that's the most that I know about it, that I've heard about it. So I can keep you informed certainly on that.
Great. I'm just curious and was confused by, on the same report, it had both dates, but actually that makes a little bit of sense if what you said is they're going to try to do a modified something in June and a modified something in August. So yeah, we'll keep
Right.
tabs on that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything? Yes, Anna?
Lee, did you have you heard yet about the date on the North Country Symposium?
No, actually, there's some meeting planning going on right now. There's going to be 2 online sessions about resident recruitment and housing. And I don't believe that the dates have been set for that yet. I'm on the steering committee and we are just setting meeting times now to try to nail that down. Again, once I know that, I'll certainly make sure that you guys get that information.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else? We'll move on. Tim Nolan submitted his report for code compliance, so you can see what he's been doing. Hello.
I have questions, and finally Tim's here so I can ask them. Things I've wondered about these many years. So Tim, on your report, it says like you went to the pavilion on one date, and then when you went later, there were more items. And then and the 7-Eleven you go, and then 3 weeks later, only one of the things is fixed. I'm curious if you could just explain how that works and like what the expectation is of them once you have been there.
Well, usually the first number of items is the greatest number. And then when I go back and it's corrected, I note that it's been corrected. Does that make sense?
Yeah, except that's not how it was for the pavilion.
Well, I returned to the pavilion more than I probably should have. And since I don't charge the village for like the second follow-up inspection, I noticed things that I picked up on other things that I didn't pick up on my first report, if that answers your
Yeah.
question.
It sort of does. So then the idea would be, will you go back again and be sure they've done those things and then they get their certificate?
Absolutely.
Got
I
it.
did go back. There was a couple of things related to the way they were managing the traffic and the COVID. I don't know how to explain this, but they were trying to get like one-way traffic, like one way in, one way out. And they wanted to block off an area where people couldn't go. And so they just bordered off a corridor, like behind the bleachers, that
Right, mhm.
corridor. So they just bordered it off into that vestibule, well, into over by the locker room where you go to for public skating when you first come in.
Right.
Does that makes?
Yeah. I'm very familiar with.
So
the
anyway,
setup.
I had Dave put like hinge that door and put a hook on it from the inside. So if you were trapped in that corridor, you could get out that way.
Got it.
So
Okay.
things like that. And there might have been a couple other things that I overlooked and, brought up to Dave. And I'm glad you pointed that out. I was always wondering what people think of my reports or whether they understand them or not.
Well, I'm glad to have you here to answer some questions. Thank you.
Unfortunately, I don't have that information right at my fingertips, but
That's quite all right. That's plenty. That's absolutely plenty. Thank you.
okay, you're welcome.
Any other questions for Tim?
No, but also congratulations and welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. It's good to be here. It's been almost a week. It's been pretty busy. I'm getting up to speed, issuing permits, and lots going on. But it's going well. I'm working well with Miranda. We're sharing that office up there, and we're fairly. We don't work in the same municipalities, but it's been nice to work with her. As much as you can work with somebody from another municipality.
Super. Great. Thank you.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay, next up, looks like it's treasurer's report. Sally. Gotta unmute yourself.
You're muted.
You're
There.
there.
Sorry. Most of my report centers around budget preparation. That was where a lot of my work went this month. If anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
I'm interested in the unemployment scam.
Well,
Did you get
coincidentally,
it?
today I received another letter.
Oh,
I'm not
Really?
sure, I haven't traced it yet, but it says that it's from the Department of Labor supposedly. And this is probably my 5th letter. And it says that I've been denied because they feel that my claim, that someone filed a claim in my name fraudulently. So they're not paying any benefits. So that was a good thing. So that's as much as I know at this point. But I make a point of checking my credit ratings, and I check my bank accounts frequently, and I changed all my passwords. So as far as I know, nothing has been compromised.
We have had several employees get hit with this. And I just received another one today. One of the police officers got hit with it today. So it's running rampant through our community and I think through the state.
Sally, I do have one other question on, no, never mind. I'll ask that question next month if it's the same. Never mind.
Okay,
I just thought it through a little more.
okay.
Any other questions for Sally? Okay, up to bat next is Chief. Jim, how are you?
Good. How's everybody tonight? I know you can't all answer me, but hello. The only thing I had for an update, if anyone has any questions, is Monday, a couple days ago, we had our WatchGuard body camera installer and trainer here. They're all up and ready to go. We've got the policy. I had to make a few tweaks when the guy was here with the training just to answer a couple of small minor issues. Got that all squared away. Everyone is reading through that, disseminating that this week. We've got a soft opening that everyone can start using the cameras if they forget to turn them on for a short time while they're getting used to it, letting that go. But starting May 6th, everyone will be live and has to have them on, be using them, and which means we are joining the Sheriff Department, Potsdam Police Department, SUNY Canton Police, and ourselves are all body cameras. All have body cameras now. The sheriff just got theirs started too. So that's all I have unless anyone has any questions.
It's very exciting. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Anything else for Jim? Okay. Next on my list is our assessor, Cindy.
Okay, hi, good evening. Well, I have great news. I finished the assessment roll for 2021 and it's being printed as we're speaking tonight. So that's been a big relief. We, as the assessors, we love this time of year because we're done and we go into the next phase where the change of assessment notices will be mailed out next week. There'll be a cover letter with them due to COVID and wearing a mask. Grievance will be an open meeting. We're just going to require everyone to sit 6 feet away and they'll be by appointment. So they won't just be all coming in at 4 o'clock and waiting to be called. So we're going to do it by appointment. And there'll be, like I said, there'll be a cover letter going out with instructions of what to do. And I'll be running informals come about the second week in May. And again, that also will be either by phone or in public, with me at my office. So, we're open. So if they want to come in, they can come in. If they don't feel comfortable, then we could do it by phone. There's a lot going on. In my next report, I'll be reporting things that things were changed down by the state, and it's in regard to mobile home exemptions, and those are going to be dropped, and they're going to have to apply for the exemption, for the STAR exemption through their income tax, through their return. So there's things going on. There's a lot of news we're getting down the wire. The state also came down the last 2 weeks with reports. So we had to double check the enhanced STAR recipients and the basic STAR, make sure everybody was all set. And there were people that were dropped due to income. So we got all that straightened out and we ran the roll. So we're ready to go. So then the next month we'll be meeting with the bar before an organizational meeting will be held with me in the bar, and then we'll be going to grievance, which is May 25th from 4 to 8. That's grievance day. I don't predict a lot of people, but you never know. So that's it. Anybody have any questions for me?
No questions for Cindy. Thank you.
No,
Okay.
thanks, Cindy.
Okay.
And last but not least, the village superintendent asked to be excused tonight for personal reasons. You have his report. If you have questions about his report, I don't think I can answer them, but feel free to send him a note.
I do have a question, Mike, that maybe you or Sally can answer, and it's actually about Dave Reagan's report.
Oh, okay.
And the thing in it where he says they need a new VFD at the Upland Water Treatment. Of course, I don't know what a VFD is, but he said they need a new one. It's too expensive to repair or too old to spend money on repairing. So do you know how much it costs to replace it? And could that possibly be in this year's budget?
Well, I know the VFD is what they call a variable frequency drive. I know they were looking at pricing for that. Sally, did you know where they stand on that?
The last I'd spoken with Marty is, I believe it was $6,000, and I can double check with him tomorrow. And there were things that they didn't purchase this year that we were going to reallocate that money so that they can move ahead with that purchase. But I can verify that with Marty tomorrow.
I wasn't so much worried about how much, or just that it was a lot, but if we could sort of quick encumber that and do it this budget year.
They would have to get it purchased. Variable frequency drive is part of what they use to pump water with. They change pump rates by changing the frequency, the electrical frequency, so that they can adjust pump rates. Any other questions that may, if you don't, you can always talk to him or send him an email. Okay, I need a motion to accept department head reports.
So moved.
I'll
Anna?
second.
Beth, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Committee reports. Do you have any committees to report that aren't on the agenda in another place?
I'd like to give everybody a heads up that we're going to start on one of the raised crossings on Judson Street, and it'll be the one by Pleasant Street. It'll be about 100 feet or so into town from Pleasant Street. And Marty had the great idea of placing it there for reasons of drainage and not interfering with the intersection and plowing, facility. And it just so it'll probably start in the next weeks. And I just, kind of wanted everybody to know. I'll email out a heads up like a couple days before, just so people know. And we're also going to put a little blurb. Adam and Ellis can put a little blurb in the papers, just so that people know what's going on, that we're doing the raised crossing.
When was he planning on getting the striping?
Oh, that's going to start soon too. That's in the works. In the next month, the striping will be starting too. But that's sort of the county's involved in that. And I'll also send out an email when that's ready to go. That'll be in the next month.
Hey, Klaus. Any other committees to report? Anna?
I have a couple of things. First, public safety, just to share that Beth and I will be meeting with the chief next month to begin working on implementing our plan from, what was that, last month? I don't know. The months are a lot right now, but so we're going to start working on that next month. So I wanted to share that. And then in terms of communication and technology, I sent the board an email about a request for about $500, not about $500, $500 to match the town and purchase a projector and like a portable screen. The reason that we will do this is down in the courtroom when we return to in-person meetings, which perhaps will be soon. that we would be able to use the OWL, which we are already purchased jointly with the town, to project in and out, shall we say, so that we can Zoom people in and people can participate by Zoom as well as in person. And the screen and the projector will allow the people who are in the room to see the people who are not in the room. I think that's about the easiest way that I know how to explain it. It will be really handy because otherwise, in order for people who are in the room to know who is speaking to them, we would all have to have laptops and all also have to be on Zoom, and that would make things very complicated. So this is a way to sort of, project that so that everybody can see everyone who is participating. The OWL allows people who are virtual, who are on Zoom, to see all of us in the room. So that is the request. And, we've also been talking about, best practices on the Communications and Technology Committee with the clerks and our partners in the town. And, just some points of discussion that we may want to have as we move forward and move towards some version of in-person and meetings. Questions about, will we take public comment by chat? Are we still going to expect that, members of the board and department heads attend in person? These are the kind of questions that we will need to discuss. And I think that our committee will be bringing you some recommendations. So I just kind of wanted to lay that groundwork now. Carol, I don't know if I missed anything on that.
No, I think you covered it well. I think it's been a nice addition having Sally and Kara be a part of these conversations, because really a lot of what we talk about impacts them directly, and or they have the most firsthand knowledge on. So that's been a big help. Are you done, Anna?
I am done.
Okay, I have a couple.
Oh, wait, actually, just a minute. Can we have
Please
our
go.
$500?
Oh, yeah. I vote yes.
Sally, you all set on where you would take that from?
Yes, we're all set.
I'm happy to give you $500.
I need them. I
Yeah,
think I have a motion in a second now. All in favor?
Anna, are you? Oh, aye.
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 Opposed?
Thank you. Now I'm done.
Okay, I will offer a couple of updates for recreation. The ice is out and the pavilion's all wrapped up. We came through the ice season remarkably well. Big kudos to all of our rec staff for that, and really for all of our partners in that. That was something that we did with some trepidation, to say the least, and it was really very successful and gave us some outlet for a lot of our young people and adults as well. So that means all eyes are on summer. We're working on, Marty and the rec staff are working on getting Taylor Park and our other parks and fields and trails sort of up to snuff to be ready, because I think a lot of people are going to want to be outside and doing stuff outside. So that's where we're going. We'll talk a little bit more about summer plans later when we do the summer. On the agenda, we have summer appointments. Likewise, things are moving along. Like you all have seen the proposal, the recreation proposal that the Reimagining Recreation Advisory Group or Committee brought together. So I encourage people to take a look at that again. And we will be coming out, we have it on the agenda below. We'll talk a little bit more about it, but having more specific staffing and structure recommendations we can talk about later, but also for the joint meeting. The other thing I'd like to say is that I can't remember if we talked about this. I think not at the last meeting. We've had a group of community folks step forward to help out rehabbing the outdoor rink. And they've sort of pledged their time and their resources to that. They've raised some money and are going to continue to raise money for that through Canton Minor Hockey. So hopefully that we'll begin to see some action down there, some activity, and that's going to be really for multi-purpose outdoor use every season. Not only just ice skating, but roller skating in the summer. You can see there's skateboard ramps and stuff out there now, box lacrosse, stuff like that. Also, we've had a lot of interest in our Priest Field facility. The facility may be overstatement, but the court there. And Marty's done a great job of helping us sort of identify some possibilities there. The pickleball people want to be able to use it. The tennis people want to be able to use it, especially because they're shut out of being able to use the courts at St. Lawrence. And some people are interested in being able to use the space for basketball. So I think Marty's really helping us out a lot with ideas for that. As we move forward and once we have recreation staffing in place and start working on a strategic plan for that, I think Priest Field is very much going to be on our radar. It's a beautiful space. It's right in town. There's a lot of potential that no one's done anything with in a lot of years. So I'm excited about that. So that's what I've got for recreation. Beth, anything else?
Yeah, just another quick one. We've been working with the Pee Wee Association as well on baseball. So that's, something that, they requested some outdoor space too. So we've been working with that organization as well. It's been a busy couple of weeks.
Yeah, we got into some situations where other facilities and fields and stuff that have typically been available for use have not been for a variety of reasons. And it's been nice to have them come to us, and Marty and Ken and Ryan have been really, really accommodating, helping sort of get those things going and working that out. So
yeah, and letting our community utilize our resources, which is really good. So.
Anything else?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, economic development. Two things. One, a quick one. The Economic Development Steering Committee is working on a memorandum of agreement and sort of solidifying the understanding of who contributes how much to the consortium. We get more than $50,000 from our consortium members to help us support the economic development function of the village and the town, which matters a lot and means a lot, but we've never really had it, well, off and on sort of had it in writing, but we're going to codify that and get that all sort of set up. The other thing I want to just take a few minutes on is to talk about something that Lee sort of referred to earlier. There's a lot of funding going to be becoming available. Right now we know about, as she talked about, the CDBG CARES, the DRI, the CFA, and for everybody who doesn't know, we can translate that alphabet soup for you if you need it. But in order for Lee's office, Lee and Jenny and the ED committee and the staff to be able to juggle that and be sure that everything is getting the attention it needs, we want to really outline some processes for that. And I'm going to go through that quickly right now. And then I have this in writing, which I'm going to share with staff and the rest of the board, so that we're clear on what the channels need to be for being sure we're getting grant opportunities, getting them the attention they need in the best way they can. So Lee and her office identify and share information about community and economic development related grant opportunities. So those are the ED ones that they're looking at, they're seeing all the time, they know what's out there, and they will shoot those out to you. They'll share those with you she'll share those with you by email, at committee meetings, board meetings, department head meetings, so that you know what's out there that you can consider whether they're a match for your departmental needs. While the office supports the municipality's grant writing and administration functions, it's not the office's responsibility to find and coordinate applications for non-ED related grants. So that becomes our responsibility, staff, board, committee members, to explore and share information about funding and grant opportunities relevant to our fields, to your area of work, to your committee area of interest. So that, let's see, I'm just reading from notes, you can probably tell. And also share that with the potential partners. So if it's something coming from the PD, or if it's something coming from DPW, share it with the mayor, the other department heads, hopefully at meetings, so that you can all talk to each other and other relevant committees. So we're all being sure we're on the same page, knowing what the needs are and knowing what the funding possibilities are. Once a funding source is established and matched with a municipal need, the person or people who are seeking that funding need to set up an appointment with Lee in her office so that they can be sure it's possible for her office to support that, appropriate for her office to support that, and see what kind of support is needed and create a plan. If the ED office is going to be working on that, they'll need information. They can't conjure these grant applications. They'll need all the basics, the background information, the details of what it is you're looking for and why. They'll need assistance writing sections that require your expertise, which is outside of economic development. If you're looking for grant money, you should be aware of or if you know about one, if you're presenting a grant opportunity, you should know what the grant requirements are and the deadlines and all that, so that you're keeping an eye on that, as well as the ED office. There's going to be a ton, there is always a ton for them to manage. There's going to be a ton. And in order for us to be getting our best opportunities, availing ourselves of these opportunities, we got to keep this under control. So those are sort of some general processes, procedures that we wanted to outline for you. Again, I'll share that with you in writing. And I think what's going to happen, coming up soon, we need to take a look at these big grants and see what our priorities are, see what the direction is, so we can provide that to Lee, share it with Lee, get Lee's feedback on that, so that we're all sort of in it together, going for what the village needs the most. That needs to be happening regularly, budget time, regularly, and especially now with all these big opportunities coming. So that's a lot. It's a mouthful, but we got big stuff coming, and we've really, really got to be ready for it. So I'll just leave that there and just ask if Lee has anything to add, or Anna. Anna and Lee and I have been working through sort of how to set up these processes and this plan.
I think the only thing that I would add is that yeah, I think it's important, as you said, to really be having ongoing discussions about this. But right now, this is the typical time for quote grant season to be happening. And so, talking early in the year about our priorities as a municipality and ways that I can support other departments that are not economic development, or maybe our community development or something, is important to establish early on. And I think that if we have things that we know we want to pursue in the next year or something, it may make sense for us to start reaching out and try to get support for them in the way of support letters and things like that. So if an opportunity comes along, we're ready for it, and we don't miss out on things. And I just think it's important that we're all on the same page, because many of the opportunities that are available now are bigger than economic development. They're infrastructure, their recreation, their mental health, their broadband, they're all these things. And although economic development's a part of them, it's not the entirety. And I really need input from the board and other areas to, if I'm going to be the one that's writing it, to know how to formulate that proposal. And it needs to be an effort of the municipality as a whole.
And if I could just throw one thing in, that one of the things that we talked about in terms of prioritization, that a really good place to start is with the comprehensive plan. People, obviously, we know what, the immediate priorities are in our particular areas, but it is perhaps useful to go back to the comprehensive plan, which a lot of people spend a lot of time working on, to sort of set those priorities or identify those priorities.
Great, that's it for me, Mike.
Okay, anything else? Any other committees? Okay. We added an opportunity for public comment and moved that forward so that we didn't make people wait until the very end. I know that there's a couple of people here that would like to comment. I was asked about some issues at the Housing Authority, and I was also asked for space for Dave Murphy to comment about pedestrian safety and some other issues that he had on his mind. So why don't we start with public comment about issues with the Canton Housing Authority. If anyone would like to comment, we would like you to keep your comments within a couple of minutes, let's say 3 minutes. Please, if you're going to speak, give us your name and where you live. So is there anybody that would like to make comment?
I see that Andrea is there, and I don't know, Andrea, if you're able to speak. We do have a letter from Andrea today that I don't.
I think Rebecca was trying to speak.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that Andrea had a bunch of things to say first, and then we were gonna follow that.
Okay, well, and as Carol alluded to.
Just like the hot dog, I mean, I'm fine with it. Oh, hello. Sorry. Yep, I am here. Yeah, I had submitted my comments, in writing and the comments that the tenants had sent to me. So I wasn't sure if you were going to just kind of lead off with reading that or taking the comments directly from some of the public, whatever you'd like to do.
Well, it was certainly our intention to listen to the comments directly from the public. What has been submitted to us by you that comes from the folks that live in the Canton housing will be made part of the record. And I know a couple of us would probably like to recap that or summarize it briefly, but we would certainly like to hear from you individually if you have comments that you would like to make first.
Sure, I could go first, and then I think Rebecca had some thoughts as well. As the director of the Office for the Aging, we advocate on behalf of older adults, and it's come to our attention the last few months. We've received multiple complaints and concerns regarding some issues at the Canton Housing Authority apartments. So as such, when we hear those things, we certainly reach out to the building management to discuss those concerns, as well as to the individual tenants, which we have done so. And in trying to research the best way to help these tenants and to guide them as to where to go with their concerns, it came to my attention that the current Canton Housing Authority doesn't have a current board of directors. So that was one thing, I would like to ask of the board to consider trying to appoint some members to that board, for the tenants and residents to be able to have another resource to go to when they do have issues or concerns. Because certainly at the Office for the Aging, while we are happy to act as a support and in advocacy roles, we don't have any authority over any apartment building. So we usually just try to help the individuals, come up with some solutions of how to best have their voices be heard. So knowing that there isn't any current oversight in that building, if tenants aren't feeling like they're being heard by the building management, I think our concern was, well, where do they go? who do they talk to when there is an issue or a concern that they don't feel is being handled appropriately. So that is where my letter, which will go on the record, was just asking that the board consider trying to appoint some members to that board of directors, which would be great. I know it's helpful in the other, we work with Ogdensburg Housing Authority, Potsdam Housing Authority, and Messina Housing Authority, providing meals and other services to older adults. And as well as I spoke with Becky today, and she had offered me some written statements that they didn't have a way to email to the board for public comment, and asked if I would scan it and email it on their behalf. But I certainly, and I was happy to do so. But I certainly, as I was saying to Rebecca today, the most powerful thing is, when you can hear directly from your constituents and from the tenants themselves about the issues that they're experiencing. So I'm just so happy that Rebecca and I think a few other people have joined us, and I will certainly move on to her and let her speak as to her experience of what she feels is going on right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea. Rebecca?
Yes, hi. I was wondering, we sent you a letter and we were wondering if you received it.
Well, there was a package dropped off
Right.
at the village office late Friday. And I think it's also the same thing that Andrea sent to the board
Oh, okay,
for us to review. So we all do have that.
okay.
And, there's a number of issues there that we are aware of. And
Yeah.
we're
Well,
go ahead.
We're extremely worried about our safety here, as the director has started putting in new doors here, and every door in the house, in the apartments, are open, unlocked for anybody to walk in, except for one. If we call for an emergency, we cannot get a hold of anybody in the office. It'll go to an answering machine and they never call us back. There are other people here that want to talk. One of our problems is that, last week when it was so hot outside, she had the heat on, and we were so hot in here that people were having to go to the hospital. We could not reach her to let her know that, people were getting sick from the heat. But there are other people here that would like to speak also.
Certainly.
Okay, just a moment. Debbie?
Debbie,
Yes, hello.
what's your
I-
phone, Debbie?
I would like to speak, the maintenance staff here. My apartment, my kitchen light was like a strobe light for probably 3 or 4 months. And I had asked for maintenance to come up and replace a bulb. Well, finally, when they came, the maintenance worker walked in and he said, "Do you have a ladder?" And I said, "Either that or you've got to have a long arm, because they're way up on the ceiling." Another issue is the public bathrooms here. There's a lot of workers at this time doing contracting in here. The public bathrooms on the main floor remain locked. And there's a partition across the men's toilet, and all that's left open is a wash basin with a sign outside, "How to wash your hands." Okay, and we got a letter, and I'm getting ahead of myself. In the laundry room, the bathroom door has been locked and the handle has been removed, and it's sticking out like a sword. Different people have been injured on it. Well, one day I was down there, and nature happens. I didn't think that I would get back upstairs. And people in 35 next door, there has been accidents on the elevator that's now being fixed. But then they'll complain, well, I wonder what happened. We found urine on the floor in our elevator because, you know, a lot of these people are disabled. And if they can't get to a bathroom on the main floor, you know, what are they going to do? And another thing is, as far as this vaccination, a note went around from Amanda, our administrator, to the effect that the building will not be open to the public or the common areas will not be opened until everyone in the building is vaccinated. That'll never happen because a lot of these residents in here don't even know what a mask is. Some of them are allowed to walk around. I know there's no law without a mask, but I think that's a HIPAA violation. I'm a former nurse, and as far as I know, she cannot ask and make people be vaxxed. Most of us are. But if we're going to have to remain in lockdown until every person in this building is vaccinated, that's very unfair. Very. And like Miss Swinney said, we cannot get an answer in the office. One day there was a sign up, office is closed until further notice. That was it. So that's all I have to say, but it's a very unsafe place to live, I know it's different now with COVID. We're on uncharted waters. But the thing is, who does Amanda answer to? Who is Amanda? Everybody has somebody over the top of them. Who does Amanda St. Marie answer to?
I think it's a very good question.
Yeah, it is, Mayor. There's no board, and it's been hearsay that people will not come forth and join the board because of Amanda. She is different.
Debbie, could I ask a
And her
question? This is
social
Carol.
skills.
This is
Pardon?
Carol Pinchon. Debbie, nice to see you. Can you, for the record, give us your first and last name, and then I have a question.
Yes, it's Deborah with a B-O-R-A-H, Saint Germain, capital S-T period, capital G-E-R-M-A-I-N.
Great. So Debbie, I do have a question for you though about, just so I can better understand the sort of day-to-day issues. I know from times that I have visited the building to see friends or also to do some work there, there's an office. And I know that it's been, there's been some times of people working remotely and stuff, but is there someone in that office like on weekdays during the, normal business hours?
There is one lady that we know of working in there. And prior to this week, there was a barricade, the entrance that goes into where you would sit to wait to go up to the office window, a great big dresser across it. And if you go further down the hall, there's another door. It's a kitchen door into the office. Do not knock on this door for any reason. And like I say, it's every man for themselves here.
Yeah.
And these elderly people, another thing was the water. I don't want to go too fast. The water was so hot here that maintenance, I finally called them to come up to my apartment. A lot of these elderly people don't have the sensation in their hands that we do. I can be burned on it. Maintenance come in and they said, well, would you get burned on it? I felt like saying, put your hand there and see. So I don't want to take up the whole time, but we need a board here. We need somebody over Amanda. She's running rampant. She is absolutely, we have no human contact. There's areas she could open up again. There's doctor's offices that have chairs that are separated. She could very well do that here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I ask one more question? Either, well, Becky or Debbie, what are Amanda's office hours? When is she there?
We don't know. She comes and goes as she wants.
Yeah.
And,
late at night.
and when we can't go down to the office, she won't answer the door down there at all. If you knock on the window, they ignore us. If we call to get someone to call us back, an answering machine or an answering the answering person, somebody that it's like an answering service. They'll answer the phone and they'll say, well, we'll get somebody to call you, but nobody ever calls us back. When we were trying to get the heat turned down and people were sick because of the heat, no one would call us. I don't know why she finally turned it down. And, we have to fix our own toilets. We have to change our own light bulbs. The trash room doors are locked every night. And yeah, they are. Well, and on the weekends, so that we cannot, we can't take our trash down the hall. We've got people in here that are 95, 96 years old. They expect these people to walk out to the trash cans in 6 feet of snow to dump their trash. When we first moved here, there were the maintenance men took care of the trash rooms. They took the trash out and they cleaned the trash rooms. Now everything has to be done by the tenants. It's not a place for the elderly to live anymore. It's every man for themselves.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Yeah,
Is
my
Mary-
mom would like to say something. She's the one that wrote the letter.
Sure.
Yeah, my name is Beverly Weiss. I'm the one who wrote you a letter 2 years ago. I'm the one who wrote the letter to you this time. All of these issues that these people are talking to you about tonight are in the letter that I sent you. There's pages of them, the complaints and things. We really are desperate because we don't have anyone else to go to. There's no one else. I've talked to Diane Burns, who was a great director here for many years. And she only could recommend you or the attorney for the housing. We're hoping that you can help us do something where this lady is concerned. She rarely is here. She never comes into work much before noon, if at all. She's not here to know what we're going through here. And she really doesn't care. So we don't want to keep bothering you all the time, but you're our only help. And we would appreciate whatever you can do to help us.
Beverly, thank you. We have your letter and all of the board has seen that. We have been attempting over the past few months to reestablish the board. And that has been a difficult thing to attempt. However, I think this has brought some things to a head. And I've reached out to several people that I believe will be able to step up and give us a hand with this. All of our board members here, all the board of trustees are working to try to find a board for the Housing Authority so that all of these problems can be taken care of.
Why haven't the other positions been filled down there? As far as I know, we only have one other lady working here besides Amanda.
I can't speak for why Amanda has not filled those positions. I've had conversations with HUD on several occasions, and apparently, according to the regulations, Amanda has complete authority on who to hire when it comes to maintenance staff and support staff.
Well, she has taken all our really experienced maintenance people and gotten rid of them and hired younger men. I mean, in time, these men might become good maintenance people, but they need somebody to guide them. And she's gotten rid of the one person that could have done this. Now, and I don't know, I know that that some of the people, in fact, one lady here has passed her, what is it, the test? Civil service test. I mean, they're qualified people if she wants to look at them, but she's not here to work. I don't understand. I worked out until I was 83 years old. I never had a job that I could just come and go as I wanted. And, you know, and this lady doesn't have any sense of caring about the tenants. This place was built for the senior people to, you know, to have a home after they lost a husband or wife and, you know, were alone and things. And at one time it was a great place, but it has gone really down since Amanda has taken over. And so we really need her replaced.
Well, we had intended tonight to speak in executive session about several issues dealing with some personnel. I will tell you that we are working on finding people willing to step up and work on the board. There are issues that we know about, and we're committed to getting the board filled. If anybody else on any other trustee wants to say anything, I'd be happy to. Please contribute.
I would like to, Mike, I would just like to offer a little bit of clarification. I really, really appreciate everybody speaking up about this. We have known that there was an issue with the board. I think we're just beginning to understand it a little more. The very strange thing is that the authority of the mayor and the Board of Trustees is simply to appoint the board. We have nothing else. We have no authority over the management of the place, over her. And like you, we can't get the people at HUD to answer us, to respond to us and all that. So there's a missing layer there. And I think Mike's being kind and sort of nice about saying this, but it's been really hard. We've been trying to get people to be on the board, but what they know is it's a hornet's nest that's already been kicked, and they're going to be asked to come in and try to fix it. So we need to get some good, strong people who can really understand what a mess it is and come in and try to straighten it out. And it's not been easy. So I think hearing from you, getting your direct stories, hearing how bad it is, hearing the exact problems will help us, I think, try to enlist the support of some board people, some people to join the board who can really step up and help you guys make a difference.
I would like to thank Beverly for her comments. We are hearing you, and it's important that you're here tonight. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
We have someone else would like to make a comment?
Okay, my name's Amy Flanny. All right, as for the trash room, all this week on the 3rd floor, our trash room has been locked. And I went to take my trash out today, and I got a little upset. I took it down into the recyclable room, down in the basement. I put my trash down there, my garbage and stuff. And I told maintenance what I did. And they don't know how come the trash room isn't unlocked. Well, it's because they don't come up and unlock it. Another thing is, we have a lady here, and she gave me permission to speak for her because she's really in bad shape today because of the weather. She is almost totally blind. She has asked Amanda. She needs help. The doctor told her she needs somebody to come in and help her. Amanda will not allow somebody to come in and help her. And I don't know why. And she don't know why. And Linda really needs the help because she's in remission, but she has stage 4 cancer. She is going blind. I mean, I take her to the grocery stores and she holds the stuff up like this to read. It's like this to read what's on everything in the grocery store. And sometimes she has to get into her chair. Sometimes she can walk with her walker. Sometimes it's with the cane. It depends on the weather. But during the winter time, she's in real bad shape. So we definitely need help here. Yes, we need somebody to care about us. And yeah, when we had mice here because of the trash rooms being locked. And they went, I mean, I had them on the 3rd floor. They've been on the 4th floor. They've been through the building. And that's for the trash room. I found out that building 35, they don't have their trash rooms locked at all. But building 37 does. And I don't know why. And that's not right. So, but that's all I've got to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else there that wants to say anything?
Mayor, I had a question.
Yeah, Jim.
Could Andrea Montgomery, what agency is she from again?
I'm the director of the Office for the Aging.
Is there any chance you could give me a call in the morning?
Absolutely.
Sometime between like 8 and 9:30 in the morning? I've got a meeting.
Sure thing.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Just wanted to ask you a few questions about a few things with this.
Is there anyone else that would like to comment?
No, I think that pretty much.
No, we're good.
We appreciate your listening to us.
Anna you wanted something to say, Anna?
Well, yes, I just wanted to say thank you so much, and we care. I care. This is unacceptable and horrible, and this should not be happening. And I know that I and the other members of the board are going to work really hard to figure out how to help. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say that. Thank you very much for coming and sharing this with us so that we have the chance to help.
Thank you.
Thank
Yep,
you.
thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Andrea, for helping out with this. I'm sure we're going to be in contact with you more. Dave Murphy, did you want to have anything to say at this point, or do you want to wait? Oh, there he is.
Sure. Can you all hear me okay?
Sure can.
All right, thanks. I guess before I start, I'd just like to say my heart goes out to all the members of the Housing Authority. It's people are definitely care, and hope everything gets sorted out as quickly as possible. I have to talk about things that are much, I think, less pressing, I suppose, but nonetheless, something I care about, I guess, which is just pedestrian safety here in Canton. And I wanted to say, first of all, just thanks to everybody. I know that you're all working kind of, on the board here, and everybody's got other stuff going on and other jobs. And I appreciate all of the work that you put in being on the board. It's a big lift. These meetings take a long time, but it makes me feel really good when the few meetings I do come to, and I hear all the good work that you all are doing in the community, and it makes me happy to be a resident here in Canton. I'll keep this brief. Klaus, I just wanted to ask you a quick question, if I could, about the work that's happening. You were just mentioning, are they starting the raised crosswalks on Judson Street by Pleasant? Is that what you were saying?
Yes, on Judson Street, about 100 feet into the village from Pleasant Street. And we will be, we'll alert everybody a couple days before it starts. And but that's the plan. That'll be the first raised crossing that we'll be doing.
Great. That's good news. And then I guess after that, there's another one planned for lower in Judson Street, right? Is that next on the docket?
Farmer Street was the second one, And we're first gonna see how the Pleasant Street one works out with drainage and with plowing and all the details, and then proceed with Farmer Street after everything gets worked out on Pleasant. That's the plan at this point.
Okay, so we're looking at next year then if we're waiting for plowing again to happen, is that right?
Probably, yes. Yes, we'll have,
Okay.
the Pleasant one will be done in a couple of months. And then we'll see how everything, drainage is a big issue with raised crossings and of course plowing is too. But then the plan is to do Farmer in the future. Yep.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, I think I would just like to advocate more, again, I guess. I came to the meeting 2.5 years ago. It was in the fall of 2018, and to talk about putting in, basic safety measures on some of the streets. There's been a ton of good work by village members. Klaus, you are included in this, right? I think you were deeply involved in it. And, in the Complete Streets program, I know, Anna, you mentioned earlier about a comprehensive plan. I'm not sure if that's the exact thing as the Complete Streets plan, or if that's part of it or something like that for the village, but those could be completely different. But I view kind of the Complete Streets plan and all the work that was done in there as being a very significant part of kind of the vision for Canton. And I think I'm speaking for a lot of the residents here that have kids in the village. One basic, joy we have is being able to send our kids out in the neighborhood and run around and have a great time. And, I want to be able to feel that the streets don't have cars flying down them. So it's really important, I think, to keep on these measures and to follow all of the great work that's been done. And including kind of these raised crosswalks. So it's been 2.5 years since the last one. So I thought it was time to check in again about that. There was another report released this past year, or I guess it was 2019 at this point, by the Brookings Institution that discussed how walkable downtowns are an economic boon. And it is every study that has been done on this, right, that analyzes how to make businesses more profitable and to get more traffic into businesses. It always comes down to getting more people on the streets and walking around and biking. So I just want to further advocate that we follow all of these plans for the Complete Streets program to make Canton more walkable, more bike friendly, and to do it in a safe way. There are right ways and wrong ways to do that, right? And we don't want to do it the wrong way. I had put together like a whole slideshow of all these photos and examples and things like that, but I figure that might be best to actually, I know there's like a Complete Streets committee, and maybe I'll bother them about that as opposed to the entire board here at night.
We'll invite you to the next meeting. Absolutely.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Klaus. That would be wonderful. And I'm very excited as well I was looking on the website to see the list of projects. And I guess and this is the last thing I'll say, is just keep going, right? We have these major projects that are going down the Minor Street, Taylor Park connection. All of these things are wonderful, but there's still a lot that needs to be done. I know there's a lot of grant money that was being discussed earlier in this meeting. And go after that money and get it and try to institute as much as you can in terms of this. When families are relocating and trying to find places to live, having walkable neighborhoods, having clear bike paths where it's obvious to people that there's this walking community is a huge benefit. I remember the one thing I meant to say is, so I taught a few classes in some other, I teach about the energy transition at St. Lawrence, and I've taken a couple classes over to Copenhagen, and Copenhagen in Denmark has a very well-established bike program. But I just wanted to mention that they don't bike over there because, they fell in love with the bicycle, 25 years ago. They have a huge biking community over there because about 30 years ago, they were aware of climate change and their dependence on fuels, and they made deliberate efforts to make the city more bikeable. And in fact, it's written into their goals that what they try to do in Copenhagen is make it faster to ride your bike from one side of the city diagonally across the city than it is to take any other mode of transportation. That's within the city. Obviously, if you're in the suburbs, it's different. So it's a deliberate effort on their behalf, right, to make the bike the choice that people would take, right, as opposed to like encouraging them to love bikes in some other way. They just said, well, if it's the most convenient form of transportation, that's what people are going to do, right? And I think when we think about making the changes in our community here, we have to keep in mind that like we don't necessarily have already a culture, like a community or a culture that is a walking or biking community, right? It's mainly a driving community. So we have to start at kind of a different level. We're at that stage where like we have to be very active in encouraging cars to slow down. And that's why you need a raised crosswalk as opposed to just a painted crosswalk, because it actually like encourages behavior change in driving, right? So anyway, you know, that's why you know, those kind of crosswalks have more seem to be more effective in this way than like just putting up a sign that says this is the speed you're going, right? Which serves a role in its own right, but it may not be effective in slowing down traffic or reducing traffic. So anyway, those were my comments. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for those comments, and
Thanks,
we're
Dave.
absolutely working on it. Is doing the best we can.
You guys are, yeah. I appreciate it. I'm here advocating for you all as well. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, next item on the agenda is communications and information. I have none to throw out there. County legislator update. I don't see him here. I will
Mike?
tell you that.
Mike,
Yes.
I did have that one communications.
Oh,
Remember?
I'm sorry. You're right. You did.
I just, because it's so great, and I think especially on a day like today, where we're hearing about some of the challenges in our community and some of the difficulties and are raring to help with those. The Sustainability Committee received a letter recently from Katie Metcalf, who's a 9th grader at Canton Central, saying, I believe that if many people engage in small and supported efforts, we can sustain our planet. My family composts food waste by collecting it in a container and taking it to the municipal collection site once a week. I would like to encourage my peers to do the same, and I'm asking for your help. I surveyed my peers in my 9th grade class, and the survey showed that 23 families would be willing to try composting. I believe that these families are more likely to compost if they have the right supplies, which would result in less waste in our sewers and landfills. Then she goes on to describe how her family does this and what they do. And her plan is to distribute the necessary receptacle, organize a pickup at Canton Central. She'll work this all out. She says many people taking small steps can create big change. A small step for Canton, a large leap for the planet. Thank you for taking the time to read and consider my proposal. So I am so excited about this. She is a student of Tom Vandewater, who's on our sustainability committee. I love the engagement. I love the involvement. We're going to see if we can't get a community organization to support this, but I applaud Katie's efforts to engage her community people, and just wanted to share that.
That's terrific. So just a quick clarifying question. So is she requesting us to help her get the containers? Is that?
She has her ideas for the containers, and actually what we're suggesting that she perhaps reach out to the Canton Community Fund to help with that, because we thought that would be a great partnership. So she's going to come and make a presentation at the next Sustainability Committee meeting to describe her program, and we'll go from there.
That's terrific. Good for her.
Yep. Very encouraging.
Engaged.
Thanks, Carol. I apologize for forgetting you wanted to do that.
We just needed a little uplift in the middle of the meeting.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
We make time for the county legislator to come on. I thought he was going to be here today. He did come to my office and to talk to me about the issues at Canton Housing Authority and advocating for them also. So I will add that into those comments. Okay, old business is next. Zoning revision update. I don't have a lot to add we've been working our way through our zoning changes. I think we talked a little bit about signs the last time we met. I know Carol was there. Anything else you want to add about our conversations with that? I think we're getting close to rolling out a package to the board for them to review. We're probably maybe a month or so away. Jerry's been
I
involved.
think I say the same thing every time we do this. It's been, I think we're really lucky that our ZBA and planning board chairs are really engaged and really involved. It's going to be really terrific having Tim on board now to go through this with a fine tooth comb and help us anticipate places that we have gaps or places that in his experience, have been issues or have been problems or have been gaps. So we're coming along. It is in some ways mind numbing, I will say, but we're getting there, and it's going to be a big step once we do.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is community solar resolution. We've had our public hearing. There's support for us moving forward with this. However, Jerry joined us a few minutes after we started, and I think Carol had a question about an item on the resolution on page 2. At the top of the page, F. Carol, do you want to?
Yeah, I did have a question, Jerry. I think I understand the intent of this as enabling legislation, and I'm very supportive of pushing this through so that we can continue to explore the possibilities. But I'm confused by the language of item F that says the village hereby implements this community choice aggregation program. Are we implementing it, or are we sort of authorizing
You
the?
can change the word to authorizing.
Yeah,
Authorizes.
the possible, yeah.
Yeah, authorized would be better. That would be more accurate to what we're doing, I think.
Does anybody else on the board have any questions about the resolution? That was all you had, Carol?
Yep. And with that small change, I would make a motion that we pass the local law enabling community choice aggregation for the village of Canton.
That's what I would.
Second.
Klaus is a second.
Mhm.
Is there any further discussion on this? All in
I would
favor?
just,
I'm sorry, Anna?
I mean, we can vote first. I just was saying that I'm excited that we are moving forward with this. I was really happy to participate in the presentation that the Sustainability Committee brought to us, which really was helpful because it was very sort of basic level, no jargon, just like this is what the program does. And so I'm really excited about the possibilities that passing this opens for us in our community.
I'll second Anna's very well spoken articulation.
Okay. There's no further discussion. I'll entertain, well, we've got a motion in a second, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Resolution carries. Next item is summer recreation appointments. We ready to roll on those?
We are ready to roll on those. Please allow me to find my document that I need to speak from. Here we go. So as we said earlier, we are really excited about getting things up and going. We're really excited about the forward progress of the rec committee and we're hoping to, especially once we have our joint meeting next week, really move forward with staffing there. But in the meantime, we are gearing up for the summer, and we talked about this at the last meeting. hiring a beach director and a swimming lessons coordinator. We posted those positions and we had some pretty stiff requirements for those. They're jobs with a lot of responsibility and also just a lot of certification requirements, very specific ones. The civil service positions too. So we were lucky to have good members of our community who are capable and interested in doing that. So we would like to propose that we appoint Anita Francis to be the beach director. She'll be working Memorial Day. We'll be open Memorial Day and weekends in June, Memorial Day weekend and weekends in June, and then 7 days a week, beginning June 28th through Labor Day weekend. The responsibilities of the beach director will be training and orienting the lifeguards, scheduling, oversight and management of the lifeguards, the beach staff, and that she will be on call and available for emergency response. So for this is only a 2021 appointment, but we propose a stipend of $5,000 for that. In addition, we have a member, Elizabeth Burke, who is a former lifeguard and also is completing her education in physical education management and things, has all the necessary certification to be a swim instructor and a lessons coordinator. She'll be doing lessons for 4 or 5 weeks. We're anticipating 4 weeks at Canton Central and 1 at Taylor Park, 4 or 5 days a week, depending on how that program, how she lays it out. Her responsibilities will be training and orienting instructors, scheduling lessons and instructors, just overseeing the whole program and the instructors, and doing the placement of kids in the swimming sections and their evaluations upon completion. And for that, we are recommending a stipend for the summer of $2,500. So I guess I would make a motion that we appoint those 2 people, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
A second?
I would second.
Any further discussion?
I think they're really well qualified, and the community would be fortunate to have them in these positions.
Anything else? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move on to new business. First item is authorized payment of vouchers and transfer of funds. I need a motion.
So moved.
Beth, second.
Second.
Thanks, Anna. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Okay, next item is discuss and approve the 2021-2022 village budget. I'll take a motion to start discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, that was Carol and Anna.
Yeah.
Any-
I would like to are you ready for discussion now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I would like to also, even though I gave the motion, not seconded it, I would like to second what you said earlier about real appreciation for the work that Sally has put into this. I think that over the course of this year, for a variety of reasons, I'll speak for myself, I've learned a lot about the budgeting process and learned a lot more about what I needed to know and understand and the questions I needed to ask. And although she may not have always felt patient inside, Sally has very patiently answered a lot of questions, some of which were asked more than once, and helped explain where we are. I feel good about this budget. I feel really ready to do it again next year because I feel like I've really learned what I need to know, and I'm ready to sort of start the process with a bang next year. But for this year, I think it's a great budget. We're in good shape, and I appreciate your vigilance and diligence.
Thanks,
And
Carol. Hopefully everybody remembers the answers to questions that were asked.
No, probably not.
Come on, Mike. We
Anybody
don't
else
look at it
have-
every day, and we're glad Sally does.
Anybody else have a comment before we move this forward?
I mean, I hate following Carol because she often says things that I meant to say, and then I just sound like a copycat. But absolutely, I mean, this was a pretty significant learning year for me in terms of how to do this and how to do this better. And so I really appreciate that, and I do feel like I have a better understanding now, and that understanding leaves me in the place that I thought we were at the beginning, which is like, you know, that we're doing well. So I am grateful for that. So yeah, I'm never going to stop asking questions though. So I definitely appreciate your patience.
We answer them.
Can I add something? I really do appreciate the questions because that's what's supposed to happen. And it makes our office feel like we're not standing out here alone, that other people know what we're doing. So it really is a good feeling for us to know that you're paying attention.
Thanks for doing what you do.
Yeah, that's good to hear, Sally. Thank you.
Great job, Sally. Absolutely.
Okay, if there's no further discussion. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of passing this budget for the next fiscal year? Signify by saying aye.
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 Or anyone opposed? Very good, thank you. Next item is review of the recreation proposal. Were we going to go down a path with this, Carol, today, or?
You know, I think we're not really going to go down a path with that, but it gives me a minute to say one thing I would have said in that about the budget, and that is that we passed that budget based on a, you know, with the understanding that it will probably need to be amended this year so that we can finally get the rec budget in sync with our budget as a department budget rather than its own standalone budget, and that will have to be in concert with the town. What I wanted to say, Mike, about, and what Beth and I wanted to say about the recreation proposal, as I said earlier, I intended to really present this a little more tonight, but we decided that really it makes sense to do it together with the town next week at our joint meeting. And so what that will be is when we're going to make our present our proposal, and I hope have a lot of good discussion about how we staff, moving forward with staffing for the recreation department, which we hope to move on as soon as we, you know, as soon as we get agreement with the town, we'd like to move forward with staffing the recreation department in the way that we're going to propose, and also pulling together the advisory group. So stay tuned. You all have seen a lot of that in draft stages, and we'll talk about that at our joint meeting.
Okay, thank you. Next item is to review and approve the food concession at the golf course. You should have received an updated version of that contract. There were a couple of minor changes made, and Jerry got that out after I think Carol sent a note, and Beth and Carol had been working on that. So any comment about that, or are we ready to give me a motion and a second to approve signing that?
I'd make a motion.
Perfect.
And then I'll explain something too.
And I would second the motion.
Okay, time for discussion.
So I guess the two things that I just wanted to point out, well, really the one is that the change that we made today was that there was some pretty strict, there was a whole section on what hours the concession would be open, on what, you know, at what times of year and all that. And what we've really learned is that last year, but in general, that the concession manager works hand in hand with Kevin, our golf course manager, and they work together and they figure out when they need to be there. And she's not skimping on hours of when she's going to be there and when she's not. And we just don't want them to feel tied down to being there when like a day like today, like by contract, they would have had to be there all day. And meanwhile, there's snow on the ground. And when Kevin says, I'm going home, we want them to be able to say, I'm going home. they've proved themselves to be responsible and reliable, more than responsible, more than reliable. If people are there, they stay late. They, you know, so basically what we took all those things out and said that they'll be open 7 days a week during the golf season, and the schedule would be based on their good judgment and working in consultation with Kevin.
Okay.
That seems like a good way to work it. And I have to say, I believe I saw a menu on Facebook and I'm excited.
Yes, please go
Yeah.
support. We want them to be successful down there. So spread the word. That would be great.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of the allowing me to sign the contract?
Aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Very good, thank you. The next item on the agenda is to discuss and approve the Romer, Wallens, Gold, and Manu contract. That's our labor attorney's contract. We've had a relationship with that labor attorney group for a number of years now. They're very helpful with negotiating labor contracts and other disputes that have come up over the years. Contract, it was all distributed, I believe, last week to you. Really is no different than what we've signed in the past. It maintains this year's rates at the same level for next year, and with, you know, a slight increase after that each year. So it would be my recommendation that we move that forward, but I need a motion to do that.
So moved.
Klaus is a second. Is there any further discussion about that?
I would just-
I will just, go ahead. Sorry, Klaus, go ahead.
Well, just, I was gonna say, they do a real good job. We need them and they do the job. Let's keep them.
Okay, not everyone participates in the negotiations, depending on what committee you're on. So that's always interesting to see how that develops. Klaus and Beth have both been involved with me on those negotiations. So, Carol, you had a comment?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I remember when we first contracted with them, it's been a while now. The sticker shock of that was almost more than I could overcome. But I have really observed in these years the value of that for us in times when we've really needed, you know, counsel, just advice, support. So I am very supportive of moving forward.
They've been, if I can just add, they've been really incredible to work with, and they have context. They work with communities like ours all over the state, and their wisdom is really appreciated, and they really do have a lot of really great advice. So I support that as well.
I would like to say, however, that we do appreciate Jerry's advice too.
Absolutely. No doubt.
I mean, he already knows that.
At any rate, all in favor of signing that contract, allowing me to sign that contract?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Next item is the re-levy of unpaid water and sewer bills to taxes. I think that number is down a little bit this year. I know Kara has been working on that, but that has been passed around. I would need a motion in a second to move that over to taxes.
If I can just have a second, because I think I accidentally closed it, and I think that's the one that my name is spelled wrong on, which is not a reason for it to not pass, but nonetheless, probably we would want that to be correct.
I didn't notice, but check mine while you're in there.
Looks good to me, but
Gee, my name never gets spelled wrong anywhere.
Yeah.
yeah, there's supposed to be an E, not an O. S-E-N, not S-O-N. Okay, we'll correct that before we send it.
Thank you.
Okay, now I need a motion.
So
No, everybody spoke up. Klaus and Anna, we'll let Anna second that. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Perfect. Next item is an Arbor Day proclamation, which I sent around. When I was asked to do this, and we do this every year, by the way. Arbor Day, I did look up, Arbor Day is April 30th. And I believe the tree committee is trying to plan some sort of event to publicize planting of a tree. So I have been involved in that on a regular basis. Last year was obviously a difficult year, but we're going to move forward again with this. And the tree committee is planning meetings already. So I would like a motion to approve this proclamation of Arbor Day, and it also helps us with our getting grants for our trees in our community.
So moved.
Carol? Klaus? Looked like Klaus came up. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Perfect. One item was just a reminder of our joint meeting with the town coming up on the 28th. And that meeting starts at 6 p.m. It will be a public information session. We're looking for input from the public concerning some of the grants and no.
Just the one, CDB cares,
Yep, CDB Care.
CDBG cares.
So we're looking for input from the public about that.
And so Mike, the public hearing begins at 6 or the meeting begins at 6 and the public hearing is ahead of that?
The public hearing will be at 6.
Okay.
Then we'll just roll into the meeting.
Okay.
We're working on the agenda now with the town. There's several things that will be on there, recreation proposals and things of that nature. So.
Great.
Okay, the last item on the agenda under new business was just a brief discussion of the American Rescue Plan Act. There's been a lot of information kicking around. We have not received the guidance from the Treasury Department yet. However, we have been getting bits and pieces. Some of the information we received was to make sure that we were ready to accept the money. It was important that we had a DUNS number, that we had a SAM registration, all of which we have confirmed that those numbers are in place. We have them. Sally has all that information. We are not an entitlement municipality, so the money that will be coming to us will be coming through the state. But it's a pass-through. They're required to pass it along to us. And there are a couple of ways. There is one way they could possibly hold it up, but I think that there'd be quite a mess if any of that get held up. I cannot tell you exactly when it's going to be paid out, but it's supposed to be paid out within 60 days of enactment. There is a way for the state to hold it up a little bit if they don't have the capacity to pay that out. So I guess we're going to have to wait to see the numbers on what we're getting. Again, has to be verified through the Treasury Department, but everything I've received says that we are going to get $109.693 per capita, based on our census, I'd have to look. Census estimates for 2019, it looks like. The census estimate for the village of Canton is 6,496. And doing some quick math gives us approximately $712,565 and 0.728 which will be distributed in two lump sums. We'll get half right up fairly soon, and then the second half would be a year from now. There will be limitations on what it can be spent on, and it has to be documented. There is still some guidance that we're waiting on, again, from Treasury. They will be making the final rules, but investments can be made in water, sewer, or broadband infrastructure. There is provisions for government to recoup revenues that were lost due to COVID-19. There is some ability to reward premium pay to eligible workers that were performing essential work. And there is other ways to provide negative, funding for negative economic impacts, including assistance to households, small businesses, and nonprofits. So those are the things that we will have to think about and how we will deal with that money. It's important that you have it in the back of your mind that this is coming, that there will be restrictions on what we can do with it. Does it free up, funding that we had, anticipated we could put elsewhere and then fund, water infrastructure? I don't know. We'll have to see how that all comes out. But, this board will have to decide what your priorities are and where you want to put it. And it will have to fall within the guidelines of what the Treasury Department provides us with and what the Act is giving us. NICOM, I had a meeting through NICOM with Senator Schumer's office, where he provided some information about the Act and what to expect and why some of this is being moved through the state instead of directly to us. And that has to do with how a lot of different states are organized in a different way. Not every state has towns or villages set up the same way. So it's easy to say, okay, we can give it directly to certain cities or to the state, but every state's a little bit different, so it created problems for them. Senator Schumer was insistent that if we have any problems with distribution of these funds, we contact his office. And he would be more than happy to work on it on our behalf. He's expecting that this will flow smoothly.
Good.
Really, that's what I had that I wanted to make sure everybody was up to speed on. And as more information comes out and we get all the details, we'll certainly share those.
Mike, all this makes me wonder, all the stuff that Lee has coming up. I think we'll discuss that sort of as a larger group with the town next week. But I almost wonder whether it would be worth us having a separate meeting, a special meeting with the board and staff to really just talk about priorities and look at, this is, sorry, this is money we're getting. But there's other money to be had, and it's for all stuff that we need. Infrastructure, water, recreation, natural resources, environmental, sustainability, resiliency stuff. And to what Anna said earlier, we've got a lot of this already laid out for us in our comprehensive plan. We've got a lot of ideas coming through the BOA. And I really wonder whether, we all gather, put our heads together and, share ideas. And if we're not going to need to just sit down, in a way, preferably around a table and just say, okay.
Well, I would agree that we need to do that. We do have to make sure that, we have all the information we need.
Oh yeah, we're not ready. No, I acknowledge that.
Do that yet,
Yeah.
but I guess my goal here was that you're thinking about it. I believe you have been thinking about it. We have other things that will be coming up to think about also. Next month, I have other plans for our agenda that ought to make for interesting discussion too, and that'll be the other legislation that was recently passed by the state that I think we're going to have a conversation about. And probably going to have that conversation. And quite frankly, it's about marijuana and, you know, where we as a community go. But that's going to be for another month.
Yeah,
But so
but all of these are opportunities.
I just need you need to know that where we're at with this, and as information comes out, we'll update you. But be thinking about it, please,
Mhm.
and where the needs may be. You know, in some ways, this is found money. Does it free us up to do other things in another direction? So we just have to make sure this gets slotted into the right place and spent in the right way to justify it, because you know, we'll be watched. Everybody will be watched. And that's all I have. I do need a motion to go in executive session on personnel matter. And somebody say,
I did. I said so moved.
there you go. Beth.
Second.
Thanks, Klaus. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed. Perfect. A little bit of luck, we'll be out of here in pretty short order.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Ellie, you're gonna stay?
Can
Barry stays.
I ask Jim to stay too for a second?
Jim? Yeah?
Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah.
Bye all, thank you.
I advocated for Jim to go talk to his mom too.
So now motion, no, you have to ask for it, Mike, you're in charge.
I need, well, thank you.
You're in charge.
To adjourn our meeting.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thanks so much.
Right.
Bye.
Right.